This is my first video on human physiology for health science undergraduates, and I'm Netmini Hattadua. First, we will look at the learning objectives. This is important because objectives are what we expect you to know at the end of this lecture and when it comes to the exam. So at the end of this lecture, you should be able to describe how the body is organized from simple to more complex levels, as well as list body organ systems and their major functions. Let's try to define the term physiology. We can break the term physiology into two, like physio means physical and logy means study of something. So therefore, we can define the term human physiology as the study of normal human body functions and its mechanisms. Basically, you're going to learn how you eat, how you respirate, and how you produce urine inside your body under physiology. There are two other terms worth knowing. One is anatomy, which is the study of normal body structure. For an example, under anatomy of heart, you will study the chambers of the heart and thickness of the heart wall, heart valves, and the major blood vessels opening and leaving the heart. Whereas in physiology, you will study how blood gets delivered to the heart and how it moves through the different chambers and pushed out of the heart. Therefore, the structure and function of body systems are highly interrelated. In other terms, it is highly unlikely that you can describe the function of an organ without knowing its structure. The other term you should be aware of is the pathology. While anatomy and physiology gives you an idea about normal structure and function, under pathology you will study the abnormal structure and abnormal functions of the body systems resulting from a disease. Now we will see what are the major goals of studying physiology. First is to understand body's response to a stimuli. For example, suppose you are in a chilly environment. What would be the body response to that? Goosebumps or maybe shivering. The second goal is to understand how the body conditions are maintained within a narrow normal range, or else we can call it as homeostasis. For an example, no matter how environmental temperature changes, your body temperature is going to be constant around a narrow normal range. While studying physiology, we are going to look into functions at cellular level as well as organ level. Studying the functions of particular cell is called as cellular physiology. So neuron is a single nerve cell and its function is to transmit stimuli from one cell to another. Whereas under systemic physiology, we will look into the functions of different organs, like the functions of the brain, which is made up of millions of nerve cells. Now it's time to discuss about the structural and functional organization of the body. The human body is a complex structure that is end result of organization at different levels. Namely, there are 6 different levels of organization: chemical level, cellular level, tissue level, organs, organ system levels, and the organism. The chemical level includes atoms and molecules. I'm sure you know about the atoms. For an example, sodium is an atom and chloride is an atom, oxygen, hydrogen, all these are atoms. So these 2 or more atoms chemically combine to form molecules such as water, lipid, fat, and proteins. Both the atoms and molecules cover the chemical level of organization. In next level, these molecules combine to form organelles such as nuclei, Golgi apparatus, and RER. These organelles further organize to form cells. Cells are the basic structure and functional unit of an organism. Human body is said to be made up of trillions of cells, and there are about 200 different types of cells. These cells show remarkable diversity in their size, shape, and function. Now I want you to pause the video and try to label the structures from 1 to 14 given in this diagram. and check your answers with this. With that information, we have covered both the chemical and cellular levels of organization. In next organization level, a group of similar cells that specialize to perform a particular function get together to form a tissue. There are 4 basic tissues in our body, namely epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. Let's see the functions of the basic tissues. The first one is epithelial tissue. The function of epithelial tissue is to cover and protect the exposed surface such as skin, and it also lines the internal organs such as the intestines and trachea. The epithelial modifications facilitate 2 other functions. One is the secretion of mucus and enzymes from the lining epithelium into the gut. And the second one is movement of microstructures such as dust particles in the respiratory tract and oocyte in the fallopian tube over the epithelial surface through the ciliary bead. Epithelial tissue further categorized into different types depending on the shape of the cells and number of layers in the epithelial tissue. This is a live demonstration of ciliary bead, and you can see the tall columnar epithelium and the beating cilia over the epithelial surface. The next basic tissue we are going to discuss is connective tissue. It's a combination of cells and extracellular fluid. However, the consistency of matrix depends on the type of connective tissue. In blood, the cells are suspended in a watery matrix called plasma, whereas in bones, connective tissue consists of hard calcium crystals. However, the major function of connective tissue is to fill up the gaps between cells and to provide structural support and store energy as fat in adipocytes. The muscle tissue is unique because the individual muscle cell can contract forcefully. The major functions of muscle tissue include skeletal movement, soft tissue support, maintenance of blood flow, and movement of materials along the internal passageways. There are 3 different types of muscle tissue: skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, and cardiac muscles. The structural differences between these 3 types we will study under anatomy. Functionally, the skeletal muscle is under voluntary control, whereas smooth muscles and cardiac muscles are under involuntary control. The next tissue that we are going to discuss is nervous tissue, and it is specialized to carry information or instruction from one cell to another. There are 2 types of cells in nerve tissue: nerve cells or neurons, and supporting cells called as neuroglia. Neurons transmit information in the form of electrical impulses. Neuroglia isolate and protect the neurons while forming a supporting network. Now you can pause the video again and try to identify the 4 basic tissues in the skin section. Number 1 indicates the epithelial tissue, and number 2 indicates the connective tissue in the dermis of the skin. Number 3 indicates the nervous tissue. Lastly, number 4 indicates the muscle tissue. With that, we have discussed the chemical level, cellular level, up to the tissue level. The 4th organization level is organ level. An organ is composed of different proportion of 4 basic tissues in order to perform one or few specific functions. For example, in stomach, the nerve supply control the muscle contraction and glandular secretion, while the wall of the stomach is made up of muscles, and the cavity is lined with epithelial tissue, and the connective tissue in the stomach fill up the gaps and bind everything together. With that, we have discussed about the chemical level, cellular level, tissue level, up to the organ level. The next level of organization is organ systems, An organ system is made up of group of organs that get together to perform a common function. For example, in urinary system, kidneys produce urine that get transported through the ureters up to the bladder, where it gets temporarily stored until it eliminated through the urethra. Altogether, human body is made up of 11 organ systems. These include integumentary system, skeletal system, muscular system, nervous and endocrine system, cardiovascular system, lymphatic system, respiratory, digestive, urinary and reproductive system. Let's take each system separately and look into the organs and their functions separately. The largest organ in the body is considered as skin, which is also called as integumentary system, and it's made up of skin, hair, nails and glands. The major function of skin is to provide protection against UV light and abrasion, and it also regulates the body temperature. Once you peel off the skin, you will see the muscle layer, and that is attached to the skeleton in order to produce body movements. The contraction of muscle also produces heat that contributes to the thermoregulation in your body. Imagine that you are peeling off the muscle, and what is underneath is the skeletal system, which is made up of bone, cartilage and ligaments. The major function of skeletal system is to provide protection for the delicate internal organs and to support your body, allow body movements and to produce blood cells. For example, lungs are one of the delicate organs that are well protected inside the chest cavity. The function of respiratory system is to oxygenate the blood and remove carbon dioxide, as well as to maintain the body pH, which we are going to discuss in detail in upcoming lectures. There are two circulatory systems in our body. One is cardiovascular system, which helps to transport nutrient, gases, hormones and waste products throughout the body. And the second one is the lymphatic system, that is made up of lymphatic vessels, lymphatic nodes and lymphatic organs such as spleen and thymus. The lymphatic tissue is filled with white blood cells, which helps to phagocytize and remove the foreign substances, whereas the lymphatic capillaries at the tissue level helps to remove the excess extracellular fluid to maintain the fluid balance. The nervous system is one of the controlling systems in our body, which consists of brain, spinal cord, nerves and receptors. Receptors are there to detect internal and external stimuli that get delivered to the brain and then produces immediate response. Whereas in endocrine system, the responses are slow and long term, and these are mediated through hormones secreted by the different glands. And hormones also take part in regulating the rate of metabolism, growth rate and the reproduction. The digestive system runs from the mouth to anus, and the structures in between includes the esophagus, stomach, intestine and accessory glands such as liver and pancreas. The GI system responsible for mechanical and chemical digestion of ingested food and convert it to absorbable substances that body can use. While GI system get rid of solid waste material through defecation, the urinary system aid in removing excess water, toxic material and waste from blood. Therefore, maintenance of blood pH, iron and water balance coming under urinary system. The female reproductive system consists of ovaries, uterus and mammary glands. Ovaries are responsible for producing oocytes that are captured by the fallopian tube and fertilized while it is transporting towards the uterus. The uterus provides the site for fetal development. Once the baby born, the mammary glands secrete milk to nourish the newborn. On the other hand, the male reproductive system consists of testes, accessory sex glands and penis. The sperms produced within the male's testes and the secretory materials coming from the accessory sex glands are collectively called as semen. Other than that, the testosterone secreted from testes is mainly responsible for sexual drive and the development of secondary sex characteristics in young adults. Along with that, we conclude the fifth level of organization, that is organ systems. An organism is the last and the highest level of organization, which could be any living thing considered as a whole. This may be a single cell bacterium or made up of trillions of cells such as in human. However, all the organ systems in an organism's body work together to maintain life and health. Along with that information, we have completed all 6 levels of organization in human body. Now I want you to stop the video and write down what did you learn from this lecture. In summary, I started the lecture defining the term human physiology. Then we discussed about major goals of studying physiology, the 6 levels of organization in human body, which includes chemical, cellular, tissue, organ systems and organism level. Along the way, we also discussed 4 basic tissues: epithelial, connective tissue, muscle and nervous tissue, as well as their major functions. Not only that, I also list out the different organs of body systems and their functions. Overall, you will learn what keeps you alive so far under human physiology. So I hope you will enjoy the rest of the journey and I wish you all good luck.